Okay guys, so before I made this episode, I fell into a crayon factory. That is all. Welcome back to Rychotech Industries. Today's video is definitely not going to be a total ripoff of Did You Know Gaming, Vsauce, A Gamer from Mars, A Brief History. Oh, okay. Stop. I know this. There are a ton of video game talk shows and informational shows out there, but I just wanted to make this one about the rise and demise of one of gaming's shining moments, the Rush series.
3, 2, 1, Rush!
Now, I'm going to be focusing on the console releases of the games instead of the arcade versions, because, well, it's easier than buying a bunch of arcade cabinets or trying to emulate those games. Plus, the console editions were marketed directly to the consumers. No arcade middleman. So, I'll mention the arcade versions, but I will keep the console versions as the focus. Let's start with game number 1. We start by going back to Atari Games in 1996. Atari had developed a checkpoint-based racing game called San Francisco Rush Extreme Racing. It was developed as an arcade title, but eventually made its way into people's homes via the Nintendo 64 in 1997. This is a game that, to date, hasn't aged amazingly. The arcade design of this game was clearly designed to garner quarters. It was a type of game that gave you a limited time to reach the next checkpoint. This usually meant that you had to drive flawlessly to finish the race, let alone win. Also, stats were determined per vehicle. No modifications could be made to change how difficult it was to control. Overall, not the most fantastic game of the era, but put yourself into the shoes of an arcade goer in the time period and wow, that was actually pretty advanced. I can't see the reason this game received popularity being much more than the graphics. The cars were fully rendered polygons instead of flat images being posed onto the screen, a technique known as billboarding. While this made the game feel more real in its time, the polygons and general lack of detail in the environment really stand out in our current gaming era. Before moving on, it is worth noting that this game had 3 variants: the arcade, home, and second arcade. The arcade edition had 3 tracks and 8 cars. The home edition added 4 tracks, but 1 was hidden due to incompletion, leaving the total at 6. And the game added 3 cars for a total of 11. The second arcade was Rush the Rock Alcatraz Edition. It had all of the same tracks as the home console, plus the hidden track because it was now completed, and had new shortcuts added to all the other tracks. This game also removed 1 car, leaving the playable car total at 10. Now, on to the successor to San Francisco Rush Extreme Racing. Rush 2 Extreme Racing USA. This game was only released for the Nintendo 64 in 1998 and has some vast improvements made over the last game. For starters, the soundtrack. This really felt like a fitting change as it took a more urban feel as well as a bit of a techno feel. Just listen to this comparison. This game improved on the first game's unlockable system as well. You now had to collect keys, which was in the first one, but they added Mountain Dew cans to unlock cars, probably as a sponsored move. Graphically speaking, this game is better, but still hasn't aged very well. Polygons and lack of environment detail, etc, etc, etc. Also, the car's handling and other stats could be configured by changing the parts used in the car. One other graphical thing to note about this game is that the cars could be damaged by running into walls or other cars in the game. Other than that, the gameplay style is exactly the same as its predecessor, except also for the added stunt track. This track was brightly colored and filled with obstacles to ramp your car off of. Your points would be tallied as rolls and were hard to get without crashing and exploding. Little did anyone know, this was just the precursor. San Francisco Rush 2049 was the next game to come, and it blasted us into a futuristic world of racing. Being set 50 years in the future from its release date in 1999, Rush 2049 is arguably the best game in the series. Perhaps opinion, maybe not, but that's okay, yeah, it's my opinion. This game was the perfection of everything Midway had been building upon in previous games. This game consists of 4 gameplay modes: race, stunt, battle, and obstacle. The racing mode in the console releases of the N64 and Dreamcast in 2000 is almost totally reconstructed. Actually, the main difference is the removal of the checkpoint system. This allowed players to spend time on the track instead of being rushed. Rushed? Cause it's Rush. Moving on. I will explain the importance of this later. The stunt mode. Oh my great gray owl. This is perhaps the single greatest improvement 2049 has to offer. This modification involves all game modes except for battle, the wing system. Once your car is airborne, you can press a button, default Z on the N64, to release your car's wings. When they deploy, you have full control of the way your car is positioned in the air. This is the entire basis for stunt mode. You start with 1 stunt track, but you unlock more as you accumulate total stunt points. Your stunts are scored like so. Each stunt has its own unique token. Green is for barrel rolls, red is for straight flips, orange is for diagonal flips, purple is for airtime, dark blue is for flat spins, and light blue is for two-wheeling. Each time you perform one of these, points are added to your base total. If you land the trick, you get multipliers based on how many different stunt tokens you accumulated in your stunt. If you crash, you get 0 points. In addition to collecting points, you can collect coins. These coins appear in race mode also, which is why it's good that they dropped the checkpoint system, looking back to why I said that earlier. Obtaining these coins is how you unlock cars. Oh, I almost forgot to mention the cars! Actually, I didn't. I've got the script right here in my hand. I just thought that was kind of a clever thing to say. Continuing! All the cars in this game are entirely new and have wonderful futuristic designs. You can customize them with a variety of options, especially the performance of the car by changing the engine, tires, frame, and wing style. In the Dreamcast version, however, you can't change all aspects of the paint job, you only have a few presets. Battle mode. Purely multiplayer, this mode involves collecting weapons and power-ups and using them against your opponents. You don't have wings because the button for them is used to shoot. First person to a certain number of kills is the winner. There are 8 total battle tracks that you can unlock for hours of play. I haven't said this yet, but this game did introduce 4-player racing, an improvement to the 2-player limit of the previous games. A quick rundown of the weapons: machine gun, squeaky rockets, grenades, the buffer, laser cannon, mines, rocket launcher, and the sonic booms, names not official. The 3 power-ups are the shield, invisibility, and repair, or as I call it, the fix-it. All weapons have advantages and make the game a worthy experience for all. Obstacle mode is just a 1-player time trial where you have 5 minutes to reach the end of the track. You can unlock this single track by acquiring 1 million total points in stunt mode. For the last 2 points on this game, the graphics. Unlike the previous games, the graphics in 2049 have actually aged very well. The polygon count is hidden by how tightly designed the cars and environment are. This tight design makes the whole game look amazing. The major improvement with the environment is that it doesn't appear to just drop off at the edge of the track. Everything is blended to look very natural. The shortcuts are placed so well that you will find them if you're looking, but you would miss them if you weren't. For obvious reasons, The N64 graphics aren't as advanced as the Dreamcast, but they still look amazing. Finally, the soundtrack. For whatever reason, the Dreamcast and Nintendo 64 have some exclusive songs. The best 2 songs in the game, sadly, are only in the N64 version. Why this is? I honestly don't know. But it happened. Alright guys, now that I've spent way too much time talking about Rush 2049, I think it might be time for me to go. So, what's that?
Aren't you forgetting something?
No, I didn't forget a game. There's definitely, okay, fine. Just watch the rest of the explanation. It's too much to bear. Drama! Okay, like all good stories, this too must come to an end. In 2005, Midway released a game called L.A. Rush. It was in only one way similar to the other Rush games. You drive cars. It broke away from the rest of the series in so many ways that it wasn't even recognizable as a Rush game. It features actual licensed cars, for crying out loud. It was an open world game that really seems like some weird game version of Fast and Furious. It was a really meh game as a game, and a major disappointment as a Rush game. In 2009, Midway went defunct. The Rush label is now held by Warner Brothers Games, probably never to be used again. Thanks for watching, guys, and if you have other ideas for games I could do comprehensive studies on instead of studying calculus, comment below. Also, check out my t-shirt shop, and be sure to subscribe to be notified for future updates on videos. Thank you guys for watching, and I was just going to leave the subscribe screen up for like a few seconds afterwards. I didn't really write an ending to this dialogue, so I'm just going to kind of keep talking like I know what I'm doing, but I really don't, which is why I'm telling you that I don't know what I'm doing. I didn't script any of this. I couldn't script something like this. I'm talking way too fast for this to be scripted, so yeah. You know, my computer's right behind this green screen here. I'll show you a blooper maybe about that before this is. Are we going to cut? Are we going to cut? Cut, guys, cut. See you guys. Oh, hey. Oh. It's a little luminescent. What do you think? Okay, cool.